Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
Hello, everyone. This is Roger Chen from University of San Francisco Center for Business Studies and Innovation in Asia Pacific. Today, we are very pleased to welcome Beerud, Sheth, to join our interview program. I want to sincerely thank you, Beerud, for joining us. Would you please briefly introduce yourself?
Roger, thanks for having me here. Excited to, share my thoughts and experience and I guess pay it forward. I've just a quick personal and professional intro. So I grew up in India. I went to undergraduate school at the Indian Institute of Technology, that's IIT Bombay. And then I came to the US for grad school at MIT. All of that was in computer science. I had a short stint on Wall Street, right? Which might be surprising, but it's also very quantitative. So they hire a lot of kids from STEM programs. But then, and that was in the mid 90s, and around that time, the internet happened. So that's when I said, okay, this is a game changer. I want to focus on building internet companies. And, so I've been an entrepreneur since then, a serial entrepreneur. I founded my first company called Elance in 98. Elance, and it's now called Upwork. It's a public company. It pioneered the gig economy or online freelancing, and it continues to scale and grow very nicely today. And later in the mid 2000s, I think 2005 or so, I founded this company called Gupshup, which is the pioneer in conversational engagement. And I'll talk more about it as well soon. But, essentially we help businesses build conversational experiences or chatbots to engage with their consumers. And this is particularly relevant globally in the emerging markets, which are mobile first and messaging centric environments. So a little bit like what WeChat has done in China, the same kind of idea, a super app is emerging in the other emerging markets as well. So we build tools, enterprise tools. We help businesses take advantage of that.
How experience changed my approach to new ventures?
So my next question is, actually, you are very experienced, after this long journey of entrepreneurship. Have you changed in the way you deal with new ventures, entrepreneurships? In other words, actually, if you would just to kind of reframe it, is there any kind of difference between young, inexperienced Beerud versus today very wise, mature Beerud in dealing with the entrepreneurship or new ventures?
I mean, yes, of course, right? I think, I think all the lessons, all the battle scars, all the trials and tribulations, they kind of, they think of it as an AI model, right? The more training data it has, the better it gets, and therefore it can anticipate because it's seen some of these things before, or at least has seen the patterns before, if not the exact thing. So I think, like say if I were to compare maybe, when I was a rookie entrepreneur, I had this feeling where, you have to be just constantly busy, right? You have to reply to every email and respond to everything, like literally in the moment, and maybe working long hours and doing everything would make all the difference. And yes, certainly hard work and so on goes a long way. But I've also learned that you need to set aside time, like think time, right? Or time to reflect or time to analyze, because it's not just the tactical things, right? But sometimes the strategic things can kill you. And if you're too busy tactically, but don't focus on some of the big important things, then you'll get blindsided by something something big that's happening, but you were too busy to focus on it. So that's one aspect. I think the other is, you can look around corners, right? Meaning you can anticipate what could happen. So for example, when hiring and recruiting people, there are certain, when I was younger, I would pay a lot more emphasis on the resume, saying, look, I need somebody with this skill and this person has it and let's get it. But if they're not a team player, if they're not collaborative or not versatile enough, and then when the requirement change, when the business evolves and changes, but they're very structured and rigid and cannot adapt, then it becomes a huge problem going forward. So how you hire, dealing with investors, dealing with customers. I mean, I certainly have a much more longer term perspective, right? It's not a transactional relationship. It's a relationship. It's a longer term relationship. So you're just a different kind of mindset. You also realize, right? I mean, reputation takes years to build, but moments to lose, right? So you kind of have to. So sometimes you just have to walk away, right? Because there'll always be a lot of temptations, right? There'll be like, oh, if I did this right now, or if I said this right now, I could get the revenue, I could get the deal, but let's say you can't deliver, or let's say, what the customer's asking will distract the strategy of your company, and you're not going to be able to do that, then you're just, you're really causing a problem down the road. And being able to, walk away from short-term temptations to do the right thing over the longer term. I think all of those things sort of matter, right? So in that sense, that I guess maturity, that experience base, the patterns that you notice, they really help you. Maybe the last thing I'll say is, I think just in a way, just scanning the horizon for other things, basically you have to manage your risk, right, of the business. What are the biggest risk factors, and so on, right? I sometimes think of my role as a firefighter, right? Where's the biggest fire? And I kind of focus on that, which means I may not be able to solve every one of the fires, but so long as you're solving the top 3 or the top 4 things, you're moving ahead, you're making progress, right? So yeah, I think a lot of these things because see, sometimes you can't read about it, right? It's like, think about swimming. All the books on swimming won't help you when you just have to dive into the pool, right? You just have to experience it, right? So some of these things are very experiential. So even this interview, right? I'm happy to share a lot of advice, but some of your students are going to have to stumble and make the mistakes to then say, oh, wait a minute, yeah, what he said made sense,
Well, actually, if the Beerud, I was kind of interested. I was thinking about the same thing. Does that mean AI can only do, that much, because there's a huge amount of what we call the intangible knowledge you have to learn through experience. It's not kind of a tangible, put on the words that you can learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think that's why I sort of commented earlier, right? I think while we are excited about AI, I think the ultimate form of intelligence will be some sort of hybrid, human plus artificial intelligence, right? And that combines the unique powers of both capabilities, and ultimately, that's what will succeed. Yeah.
Thank you for watching.